Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to another Friday morning live. I've been enjoying getting on here a bit more consistently with you guys, so I thought we'd run it back. Let's do another Friday morning and talk about healthy fats. I know it's a crazy one for a lot of people, but we'll talk about fats in general. But I'm going to talk about oils, different fats to eat, fats you should stay away from. Get all kinds of fat conversation happening. Good morning, Sue. Thanks for joining me live this morning. And those of you that, morning, Mom. Those of you that are watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay as well, because it's always nice to know when people are watching afterwards. And also, if you have questions about this show in particular, I'll try to get to them after. I try to scroll through to see if there's any questions. It's kind of hard to read the questions or to see questions afterwards because they have different tabs where it says, sometimes it doesn't show all the questions. It says most recent or most relevant. I don't know how they tell that one, but anyways, I'll go back and ask or answer questions. Morning, Jen. Jen, did you put in your calendar? Jen said, are you going to be back next week so I know to be here? And I am here. I'm going to try to be here every Friday morning. Sometimes things happen, but I don't really book any appointments on Friday. No one wants to anyways. You know what's funny is I try to book 0 appointments. I don't like appointments. I used to, when I did, so I had fitness classes and I had to be somewhere at a specific time throughout the week. And I didn't really know any different then. I was like, that's just life. And then I did personal training and I had crazy appointments. I had appointments at 6 in the morning. Like I had to be at the gym at 6 in the morning. I had to be, I did outside personal training. So I had to be at 8 o'clock at night. As most of you know, in Alberta, the sun doesn't go down till like 11 p.m. in the summertime. So I had appointments all day throughout the day. And, now I don't have appointments. The only time I really book appointments is for, my radio show, Exploring Mind and Body. So I book appointments for interviews, and even then, I don't really like to book those appointments. I know it sounds funny, but I'm quite free. Like I book my own hours, and I work my own hours, so I don't have to do that stuff anymore. But when I started out, I definitely did. What is this? If anyone feels, hey Dorothy, if anyone wants to share this show on your page, I'd appreciate that. Sometimes, so we only have a specific audience, like we only have the size of our audience, but if people share the show on their pages, then we can reach a new audience, and hopefully we have good enough information that you feel other people might like to hear about it. What is here? Annette's in here. Yo, yo, hello. And then something else that works really. Share this video to Trueforms Liquid. Okay, let's do that. How's everyone doing this morning? It's a good morning. It's Friday. I know a lot of people look forward to Fridays. The only reason I look forward to Fridays is because I like to work on Saturday and mostly Sunday. But I like working when no one else is working. Does that sound weird? I think because when I was playing, most of you know I played professional baseball for 10 years. I like to train early in the morning because I knew my competition wasn't training, most of them. And then I like to train, like everyone would go home after practice and I would just sit there and work and work. And that made me feel good knowing that people, or that I was working and my competition wasn't. And so I kind of think that like the working on Saturdays or working late into the evenings is because of that. So today we're talking about fats. We got all kinds of people in here. Thank you so much for joining me. We got an awesome crew here. Stephanie says, good morning. I missed you all. We missed you too, Stephanie. We haven't really seen you this week. How have you been? I'm guessing it must be busy at school. Jen says, I put this live in my calendar. That's a great way to remember. That's how we tell people if you can't remember if you have trouble remembering anything, just put in your calendar, set an alarm. I do it all the time. I got so many things going on in my brain. I grab my phone and I just say, set an alarm for, or set an appointment for, and it's done. It's so easy, but that definitely helps me out. Sherry's in here. Greta's in here. Greta the Great. Dorothy. Annette shared. Thank you so much for sharing, Annette. And Dorothy says, grind while others sleep. Dorothy, we have this quote. We absolutely love it. We actually live by it. And it's sitting up in the, Dorothy put it on one of these little boards where you can like set words and letters. And I don't even remember. What's the whole one? Like, Dorothy says, like, pick up Dorothy at school. Yes, that's important. Don't forget to pick up your loved ones. Morning, Auntie Joan. Jane's in here as well. We got an awesome crew. Yes. And then, so Dorothy says, like being on the treadmill at 4 a.m. That's right. Put that. Dorothy's been on the treadmill every day this year. So we're into February at the time of this recording. So she went every day January and every day February. And her goal is to step on the scale. It's not for speed, it's not for time or duration. It's every day step on that treadmill. And she's been doing it. So I think that's incredible. Grind while others sleep. What's the whole one, Dorothy? He has forgotten me. I haven't forgotten you often. And to be fair, I think that more often I'm there and you forget to come out. I'm like, hello, I'm here. Good morning in the icebox here. I heard it is freezing in Canada. Sorry guys. It's Alberta though. You know what's funny is that, like, I'm not saying you're complaining, Auntie, but we hear this all the time. Is like people like, it's so cold here, or like, can you believe it's snowing again? And I'm like, it's Alberta or Saskatchewan in this case. Like, you should be surprised if it's not snowing or if it's not cold. And Jen says, between your lives in the AM helps me get into the routine of getting up earlier, which I'm way more productive when I do. Yes, Jen. Yes. Yes. People just don't get it. They're like, why are you up at 4? What are you doing? Everyone's sleeping. And we're like, we get way more stuff done. And I was kind of giving Jen a hard time. Jen's in our fitness family. And she's saying, because we do workouts every Tuesday, Thursday at 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 5:30. I'm in Pacific Time. Jen's in Pacific Time. Jen's like, that's at 5:30. And I'm like, get up, Jen. I'm up too. So, but you're so much more productive. The reason why we started getting up so early is because between 7 to 10, we're mentally exhausted, sometimes physically exhausted, and we have nothing to do. You sit there mindlessly. Your brain doesn't work. You're not doing anything productive. And of course, it's fine to be unproductive sometimes, but we love a productive lifestyle. So you sit there and you scroll through your news feed, or you watch a ridiculous series on Netflix you shouldn't be watching anyways. So we were like, let's go to sleep at that time. So we're in bed by between 8 and 9, 8:30, 9. Let's try to be asleep by 9:30. You're up at 4:30. Sleep at 9:30. You're up at 4:30. That's 7 hours of sleep. So I don't understand why so many people are like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. No, because no one's doing anything between 7 to 10 anyways, and you still get 7 hours of sleep if you go to bed fall asleep by 9:30 and you're up by 4:30. So I love that Jen was like, because I think, Jen, when we were first talking about early workouts, you were like, I'm not doing 5:30. What else we got here? If I miss any comments, my apologies. Let me know, and I will. Or if I miss any comments, just put the comment again, because sometimes there's lots going on. Grind while they sleep, learn while they party, and live like they dream. One of my favorite quotes. I think this is my second favorite quote. My first favorite quote Good morning. We got Sherry's in here and Annette's in here. We just shipped some protein up to Annette. And then Sherry's out in Cochrane, I think. I always get Cochrane and Okotoks mixed up. I don't know why. And I don't know how to differentiate. My apologies for those that might be very loyal to their city or town. My first favorite quote is, in order to have something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. And that's like getting up super early or getting regular workouts in or whatever, separating yourself from people that are negative, regardless of how close they are. So that's my favorite quote, is that you have to be willing to do something you've never done. And I feel like most people aren't. And you need to be if you want to see results in your life. So, and then this is my second favorite quote, is grind while they sleep, learn while they party, and live like they dream. And it's true. It's something that we do all the time. You know, it's funny, learn while they party. I was in the dorms my first year. I remember a couple scenarios here. My first year in the dorms, I was in Chico. No, I was in the town of Chico in California. And I moved down there. I was 18. Didn't really know much. Don't get me wrong, I did party and I did have a good time. But I remember this one time, it was like Friday night or Saturday night, and everyone was like partying. It was in the dorms, and there was an actual weight room in the dorm. And everyone was like walking by the gym. Like you couldn't, I had the lights out, and it was a smaller type of gym, but everyone was partying. You can hear them like talking and drinking and have a good time. And they were walking past the gym to go out, and someone popped in like, "Hey, you know, what are you doing in here? Everyone's going to party." I said, I'm going to get my workout in, and I'll pass tonight. And that makes me think of that quote, because I wanted to succeed in a specific area in athletics, and I was willing to hang out in the gym and get my workout in, when most people were like, I'm just going to go party. So that's why that stands out when Dorothy's like, when we read the quote, learn while they party. So if you guys have any questions about fats in general, let me know, or any questions at all. I want to talk about fats because I think it's still a subject that we're quite unsure of. Like, what kind of fat should we eat? What fat should we stay away from? What are healthy fats? It kind of goes down the line. And so let's talk about it. Let's shine some light on it. And I don't know where to start. There's a lot of different things we can talk about. You can look at trans fats, I suppose. Maybe that's the bottom of the tier. Morning, Lori. Trans fats is the very bottom of the tier, and that's something we should be staying away from 100% without question. And the problem with trans fats is similar to rancid oils, is that they cause inflammation in our body. And inflammation stems from not inflammation doesn't stem, but most chronic pains stem from inflammation. I would say most dis-ease in our body, most of our pain, injuries, complications, it stems from inflammation. So if you look at excuse me, if you look at fats in particular, those fats are either causing inflammation or reducing inflammation. Ooh, that's a good one. So if you look at something like a trans fat would be something that's like deep fried, for example, like French fries or battered onion rings. So, you know, what's interesting to me is a lot of people, they deal with heartburn, indigestion, and they're like, I don't know what to do. And the problem is with indigestion is we don't have the acidic levels in our stomach or our gut and intestines that we need. I don't think so much in our intestines, in our gut. And we actually need a certain pH level to break down food and to make sure the food that is being utilized properly. Now, if you have indigestion, your esophagus isn't closing properly. And interesting fact is that as we get older, our body stops producing. Like, as we age, the older we get, it kind of scales. So we have less and less acidity in our stomach to break down that food. So if you have a less than acidic stomach, your esophagus is open instead of closed. And the reason it's open is because of the acidic level. But so that's why it's burning. Some people say, "Oh, I feel like I have a candle burning in my chest," or every time I eat spicy food, I feel like I'm going to, throw up, like get a bit nauseated, or like a burning sensation in their throat. And the problem is that pills that we take, that those pills that we take that take away that pain, they reduce the acidity in our stomach, so it makes your body even less, it offers a less of ability to break down food. So it might take that pain away initially, but then you have more digestion issues because your body isn't at that acidic level, isn't able to break down the food it needs to. So we need to do other things to prevent heartburn and stay away from those certain types of pills that do that to us. Tammy jumped in here. Dana jumped in here. Tyson, what's up, Tyson? How you doing out there? What are the comments we have on here? Dorothy says, "Don't be afraid of healthy fats." Yeah, for sure, we got to have healthy fats. I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about how healthy fats actually eat bad fats, but I'm talking about trans fats right here. Yeah, that the bulletproof diet, Dana. Would it be okay to have 1 teaspoon of coconut oil and 1 teaspoon of tablespoon of grass-fed butter every day, such as in my coffee? Yes. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm actually kind of experimenting with that right now. This is my pu'er tea, and this is green tea, a combination. So the two of them, research has found it actually suppresses cancer cells, which is interesting to me. There's a few main pillars of, I don't know, deadly disease that people deal with. I don't like to focus on those too much, but I think it's worth mentioning is that cancer is obviously one of them. We all know someone that was affected in some way. Alzheimer's and dementia is one of them. Heart disease is another one. So you can look at stroke or what is the other one? Regardless, heart disease is one of them. And I think that, I'm not sure if diabetes might be another one on its own. At any rate, those are four main pillars, if you will, of people that of what we deal with on a regular basis as we age. And so we have to look at ways to counteract. So if you have heart disease in your family, that's something that should be more important to you, to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. The same thing with Alzheimer's and I can't say that properly. In dementia, for example, I've interviewed Dr. Lori Shemek? I interviewed a couple people on brain health. No, that wasn't her. I have over 500 shows on exploring mind and body, so it's hard to differentiate guests sometimes, but you can actually reverse the effects of dementia, for example. A lot of people don't realize that. So your coconut. I'll talk about this in a second, Dana. Sorry, we have a Dana, and we also have a Dana in our community. But it's important to understand you can reverse those effects of whatever it is. If it's diabetes, I did an interview on how to eliminate type 2 diabetes, and like people think you're stuck with it forever. You're not. I interviewed a doctor, Dr. Jason Fung, who talks about how you can reverse diabetes, and people are like, "Oh, I have this condition, I'm stuck with it forever." It's not true. It's just not mainstream media. It's not on the news, so people aren't really talking about it, so people don't know about it. So when it comes to the different coconut oils, there's different forms of coconut oils. I want to talk about that, Dennis. So you could look for different chains or branches, if you will, when you're having coconut oil, especially in your drink. But when I was talking about my tea, that is suppressing cancer cells. And there are things that you can do to suppress cancer cells and prevent them from growing. And I don't want to talk about that specifically, but there's tons of things that you can do. And there's numerous studies, endless studies of people talking about how they're diagnosed, how they're given 3 months, how they're given a year or two, and it's 10 years later, they change their diet, they change their lifestyle, they have less stress, they eat proper foods, they're not eating trans fats, and they're fine. They live 10 years later and they call themselves thrivers, whatever, call yourself whatever you want. So, but we have to understand, if you're looking at trans fats, like those people that eat out, 2 or 3 times a week, and they're having not just processed foods, but trans fats in particular, like deep fried, those are causing inflammation in your body, which is going to lead to disease. I don't like the word disease. It's disease in your body. So disease could be any number of things, but in particular, I'm talking about inflammation that's causing us pain. So people are dealing with chronic joint pain, back pain, knee pain, lower back pain, whatever it is. But we don't look at our diets. We don't understand that the foods that we're eating are contributing to that. And the thing is that many people don't realize it's going to get you regardless. So, I don't feel any pain right now, or I've always been pain free, never had any real issues. Well, we're all going to age, and our body stops producing certain things, and our body needs some help, so we need to help it. And the first thing is prevention. So stop putting those foods in your body, and then we can look at treatment. Let's see, we got questions. Thank you guys for the questions in the comments. I've heard so many different ways to have my coffee. Let's see what Dana has going on here. I have tried so many different ways to have my coffee without milk and sugar. None have stuck, but I had the coconut oil and butter. That's good. That's awesome, Dana. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, we're not coffee fans. We don't really recommend coffee, but there are people that do recommend coffee. So as long as you, I think it's great that you're trying different ways instead of dumping a bunch of sugar in there, or those creamers. Those creamers are so bad. Stay away from the creamers. Oh my gosh. So yeah, but I think it's great that you're trying different ways to get your coffee, and if that's what you love. Jen says you can reverse many health issues, even enlarged livers. You can reverse, as I found out. Doctors don't know why I got it, but they think it was from all the sugars I was eating. Within 3 months, a few years ago, I was able to reverse it. Awesome, Jen. Congratulations. It's fantastic. But the thing is, it happens all the time. We just have two different mindsets. I think you can look at mainstream media and they say one thing. It's usually conventional. Follow the Canada Food Guide, which isn't always that beneficial, let's say. And then you could look at other studies where people are actually reversing, and there's actually communities around anti-aging, reversing the ability, not the ability to age, but the ability to grow younger and younger cells. And it's super interesting to me. I've always felt that you shouldn't expect your age to decline as you get older. I don't really understand how your creamers. I don't really understand, where that comes from, where that mindset is, and for us to expect, I don't. And everyone has different. Like, I heard someone that was like, I don't know how old they were, 30 or 30. I don't know how old they were. They were quite young, and they're like, well, I'm getting older. I'm like, what are you talking about? Or, people you hear often people say, well, they're just talking about like, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Like, those phrases that are ingrained in our brains and in our lives of, well, I'm not going to make it too much longer anyway. So what's the point? Like, I don't know where that comes from. I don't agree with it. I actually think we can get better and stronger as we get older. And I feel like, so the more I'm learning about nutrition, the more I learn about fitness, we change different workouts up. We experiment with cold showers. There's peptides, there's new technology, there's new supplements. I mean, even pharmaceuticals you can look at. In many cases, I'd recommend staying away, but there is a place for them. I feel like if we take Eastern medicine, Wascoey Wabbit. If we take Western medicine and you take Eastern medicine and you put them together, there's a place for both, but there's such a conflict of we're right and you're wrong, and you can put that together and Get better. Dorothy says we grow young together. That's something that we talk about. That Dorothy and I say, like, we are growing young together. Like, we don't expect to. I'm like, I have no intention of retiring ever. I have no intention of sitting in a rocking chair knitting when I'm however old you want to, whatever you want to fill in the blank. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the guy cruising around in a drop top convertible, racing teenagers. When people think I should be retired. What did Jamie say here? Tell your creamer story. Okay, I'll tell my creamer story in a second here, Dorothy. Jamie says it's possible and it's healthy. I have so many benefits besides the controlled insulin and glucose. My husband and kids also eat the same as I do. The benefits are outstanding. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Jamie. Jamie owns a dance studio. Jamie, tell us where you're at. I know things are a bit challenging there for you guys with all the lockdowns and such, but maybe you could put your business website and people could come and support however they can. So a creamer story. I was working at a gym and I was getting up early. Wasn't used to getting up early, so I was like, oh, everyone else was never a coffee drinker, never really liked the taste, and people are like, everyone's like, oh, good morning, Shelly. Dorothy said, I said it. Yes, you sure did. People are like, oh, I drink coffee. It wakes me up in the morning. So I was getting up at 5, which was early for me at that time. And I was at the gym at probably 5:30, and I was working. I had to open the door for people. And then some days I'd have 2 shifts, and I'd work in the evening. So I'd have coffee in the morning, and then I love hazelnuts, like hazelnuts and chocolate. Oh, so anyways, I had one of those coffee creamers. Can anyone help me out? What's that name brand? Coffee Mate. And I was putting this creamer in my coffee, and I was like, oh, this is so good. So I'd have like 3 or 4 cups a day. Just in the morning, and then I was drinking it later in the evening, in the afternoon, and not really thinking, because I would love the creamer. I was like, oh, this creamer is so good. So I was drinking buckets of this coffee and creamer, and I wasn't sleeping, so I didn't sleep for like a week, and I was like, oh, buzzed, and I'm like, why can't I sleep? And I didn't realize it was because I was having coffee late into the evening. No, it wasn't decaf, it was just coffee. I didn't know anything about coffee. And then I put these creamers in, but I was getting these horrible headaches, just like pounding, splitting headaches. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm not sleeping. I got these headaches. Of course you're always tired. If you don't sleep, you're tired. And it's just really, so anyways, sorry, I just read a comment. So anyways, I was like, obviously my coffee's out of control. I figured out after a week, I was like, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't be having coffee in the evenings. So I stopped having coffee in the evenings, and then it just magically my headaches went away. So I mean, obviously it was the creamer. If you look at any of those creamers, they have an ingredients list that long of words that tiny. So it's all chemicals. So all you're doing is putting chemicals in your body. So that's my creamer story of, like, in my short stint of enjoying coffee. I don't the taste of coffee is okay. I much prefer like a macchiato. Is that the one with the chocolate in there? But the caffeine makes me like vibrate very uncomfortably, like inside. I don't like it. So you know what? I found this. I did a tea show a couple weeks ago, and I really love tea. So this is the pu'er tea I was talking about, and this is actually ashitaba tea. So super interesting. We actually have cells. So the cells in our body, they don't always leave, but they don't always offer positive benefits. So you could have dead cells in your body that only cause inflammation and have no other reason or purpose. So I was doing some research and I found ashitaba tea can actually get rid of those dead cells. Super cool. And this is actually an herbal type of tea, so there's no caffeine in it. So I drink this sometimes in the evening. I always start off my day with this, with pu'er tea, which is a fermented tea, and the green tea. Tons of antioxidants, tons of health benefits. And then, like I said, I've been experimenting with the MCT oil, a little bit different than coconut oil, and in the grass-fed butter. I'm not like a huge fan of either, but I enjoy the tea. Let's see what we got here. That was my creamer story. Um, Dana says I was using Silk almond creamer until I joined the 10-day sugar detox and realized for every tablespoon there was 4 grams of sugar, cane sugar, which you taught me about. Yeah, cane sugar is. But that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dana. It's nice to know that you were able to make some changes from our sugar detox and keep them. But I think it's very interesting that when we look at the back of containers and start to read ingredients, not so much nutritional value, we become more open to what we're putting in our body. And sugar's in most things. We have to make a conscious effort to cut that sugar out. Good morning, Sheena. I like it when I see names that I've never seen before. Is that anyone? You guys should tag. How about, does anyone want to tag? Should we do a giveaway for tagging a friend in this video? What do we got going on here, Jane? Jane says, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure before Christmas. Since then, my doctor has prescribed 3 different medications. None of them worked, and they all made me feel worse. So this week, I stopped taking all of them. I have been researching how to control my blood sugar with food and exercise, and already feel so much better. And my blood pressure is exactly the same as when I was taking medication. And I'm not experiencing nausea, headache, and dizziness from that medication. Yes. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Jane. That's amazing. I don't know how to comment. I think that medication isn't. Don't get me wrong. There is a place for medication without question, and some people need medication. That's just the way it is. But I think it's an easy answer. It's an easy outlet to say I need medication, or just to go to your doctor and your doctor prescribes you something because that's their job. That's what they do. But to put in that extra effort and to change your lifestyle and change your food and look at exercise, like that's a sustainable way to healthy living. It's more of a holistic way. And then you don't have to deal with those side effects that Jane is talking about. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Jane. I think people are scared to go off medication. They're scared to do things that their doctor doesn't recommend. And like your doctor's not really, like your doctor didn't go to school for supplements, for example. Your doctor didn't go to school for exercise. They're not like an exercise physiologist. Like that's not their job. Their job is to prescribe medication and help you through pharmaceuticals. So you need to go to someone a bit different to get a different answer. We had someone ask a question in one of our other groups and said, my doctor says I can't have this, but I don't really agree with them. So I said, well, I'm not going to tell you. I just almost fell off my armchair there. I'm not going to tell you should. We would never say go against what your doctor says. That's not our job. Our job is to give you information, and same thing with like sales. I don't ever want to like try to sell people anything. We offer information. Like we have products, we have services, and we present them to you. These are some options, some different options. And if you choose something different, then that's your choice. Everyone should have their own choice. And I think it becomes a very slippery slope, especially when it comes to what's going on in the world today. I imagine many of you know what I'm talking about, but in the pressure, the social pressure of what you should be taking and what you shouldn't be taking, I think we should all have our own choice and make our own decisions on what's best for our bodies. Thank you for the tag, Dana. Appreciate it. Good morning, Sue. Suzanne jumped in here, and we have another Sue as well. Suzanne, she's been with us for quite some time, and then Susan Patton recently. What's up, Dave? Big timers. Susan recently joined our fitness family, so thank you for being here. We got some tags. Thanks for the tags. If you guys know anyone that might benefit from the show, we would appreciate you tagging them. And if you tag, if we get some tags going, maybe we'll do a prize. Maybe we'll do a giveaway. Jane's talking about celery. I gotta show and tell. Dorothy thinks I'm crazy. Jane says, so far celery, turmeric, and omega are working to keep it down. Awesome. And then avoiding what we shouldn't be avoiding, like the spikes. Of course, sugar spikes our blood sugar level, so that's going to cause our blood pressure to go up. So I think it's challenging. Like there's so much sugar in so many different things, but if you keep raising your blood sugar levels with sugar and nutrition and stress, then you're going to have high blood pressure. Check this out. I've wanted to do this for a very long time, and I've never done it. I have the green screen. You can't see my celery. Come on! Anyways, the green screen is green back there. That's not a real background. This is my celery. You can't see it. It's see-through because it's green. So anyways, I've always wanted to do this, but this is the first time I actually took action. So I'm sprouting celery in this bowl, and then I'm going to plant it. And we eat celery all the time because of our green smoothies. We recommend green smoothies daily for the phytonutrients. So if I get a whole garden of celery, then I won't have to buy celery. Susan says I tagged my sister. Thank you very much, Susan. Thanks for the tags. I appreciate it, you guys. Jane says I couldn't see why I should keep... I couldn't see why I should keep taking medications that wasn't working. It made me feel worse. Not sure what my doctor will say when I go back to him at the end of the month. I think he's not going to be happy. But I mean, anytime you go to someone for help and then they don't take your advice, then the person that's giving the advice is like, why'd you come for me for advice? But I think if your blood sugar is dropping and without the medication, your doctor should be happy. Because then you don't have to take the medication. There's always side effects from medication. Dave says, looks like a magic trick. Yeah, that's how. Hi, Donna. Dorothy says, you are hilarious. I thought you were going to think I was crazy, Dorothy. So we talked about trans fats briefly and how it causes inflammation. And it's not just trans fats. You have to look at other types of fats. So when you look at oils, like oils are such a dangerous area because we're like, oh, they're cheap. They're like oil's an oil. An oil is not an oil. We have to pay attention to the oils that we're putting in our body because most oils are rancid. And I was reading some articles on olive oil in Greece and in Italy, and they were actually, it's a huge industry there. I think sugar is the oldest traded commodity, and then oil. So for years and years, I don't even thousands of years, they've been trading oil, sugar and oil. Funny we're talking about both, but bigger companies were coming into the ports, and the companies were bringing in rancid oils like grapeseed oil or different vegetable oils they were bringing in to mix it with olive oil. And I was actually, okay, so the smaller, I don't know if it was the smaller companies, I feel it was like the smaller companies, they were actually like trying to block off the port areas so these companies couldn't come in. So what happens is like it's a very shady area now. Like it's a really difficult industries because it's like the rage, right? It's like fasting and oils are the rage. I watched this video where you know that JP Sears or Spears, he does like all those ridiculous videos. He's got long hair, long orange hair, and he's talking about fasting, and he's like, I don't even have to do anything, and I'm doing it. Like, I don't even have to eat, and I'm fasting. Like, there's a particular way you should fast, and everyone, like, I get it at least once a week. Someone messages me like, "How do you feel about fasting?" And I'm like, there's definitely benefits to fasting and reasons to fast, but most people forget to eat, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm fasting." Then they eat a cheeseburger in the evening. I mean, that's not fasting. There's different reasons why you should fast, and I'll talk about that in the future because I'm doing some experimentations right now. I do tons of research. I experiment on my own body. Then usually Dorothy does the experiment too, and then we look at positive and negatives, and then we share with our audience. So I never just tell people to do stuff without trying it myself. I think it's a bit ridiculous. I was here working out here years ago at gyms in LA, and there's such an abundance of people working out and like beach bodies and fit. Like in LA, it's like glamorous and facials and Botox and boobs. Like that's just how it is, like Hollywood. So everyone's like trying to work out in gyms and get fit. And I would see like on a regular basis, like really uninterested, unmotivated, overweight trainers that were like standing there with like a clipboard being like push-ups, squats. And I'm like, if you're paying someone to learn from, they should be um they should be fit. You know what I'm saying? Like if your dentist has a whole lot of teeth issues, you probably want to find a different dentist. If your doctor is smoking outside in the back, that's all I'm saying, is that you may want to pay attention to who you're getting your advice from. But I think there's definitely a place for certain things, but we just have to do it the right way. I don't think we're doing things the right way. What a trooper Dorothy is. Why is Dorothy a trooper? What did she do? Because she's puts up with all my craziness. She is. She'll jump on board. So what they were doing is they were trying to prevent the cheaper oils from coming in to the ports, because what they were doing is putting the cheap oils and mixing it with the olive oil. So now what you have is it's a very, with you said with your experiments, Dorothy, tell them I put up with you. I put up with you, crazy. Because I put up with you, crazy. Oh, yeah, it's true. Ask Dorothy. Dana, one time ask Dorothy to tell you about our protein experiments. Those are funny. So they're trying to prevent the cheap oils from coming into the countries because they were polluting their good quality. You know what I mean? So you would have a smaller company that would have 100% extra virgin olive oil. And then you'd have a big manufacturer that was like, hey, we could make a whole lot more of this olive oil if we put in cheap oils. It would last longer, and it would last longer, and we'd get more out of it. So they'd bring all these cheap vegetable oils, put it in the extra virgin olive oil, and now you have the same product, and you make a whole lot more profit. So that's what was happening, but now you have a very loosely regulated industry. So, and we were at a health food store, and I was talking to a lady who produces her own olive oil. She has her own vineyards in, I don't know if it was Greece or Italy. I think it was Italy. And they brought the oil over, the olive oil over. Did I say that? I think it was that Pantheon company. I think and this was years ago, so it was just coming out. And she was telling us that olive oil only has to be about 2 or 3% of olive oil to label it olive oil. So you have all these companies coming out with olive oil, labeling it, and it's rancid oils, it's cheap oils. So you could look at many, like corn oil, you could look at canola oil, you could look at probably grapeseed oils on there, sunflower oil. Like, these are usually lower quality oils. They come in many of them come in clear plastic containers, and they sit on the shelf, and that light exposure causes them to be rancid. But I also think they're probably packaged rancid to begin with, because their oils could be old, cheap, and expired, and there's no real regulations around that. So anytime you want to, morning Angela, anytime you want to get a better quality oil, it needs to be in a dark container. It should be in it should be in glass, not plastic. Those are two staples that I would never deviate from when it comes to oil, because oil it's so bad. Like, it causes so many issues if it's the lower quality kind. And I'll talk about MCT oils here in a second, but if you're looking at better quality MCT oils, you can improve your brain health, you can improve your cognitive function, your memory, your motor skills. Oils can do a lot of good things for you, but they can also do a lot of bad things for you. And because of, it's not just the olive oil industry. Like, we've been producing Complete Truth protein for 8 years now, and we're probably close to a year with our vanilla protein. And we look at ingredients, we look at manufacturers, we look at the processes they put it together, and it's crazy what they can do, and what they do what they actually do to produce a product that is usually cheap, low quality, and causes more issues in our body long term. Dorothy says, I also get a little scared when Drew says, want to hear my new idea? I feel bad. Oh my gosh. I have phases. Like I have phases. I have like learning phases and experiment phases. Right now I'm experimenting and researching 3 different supplements. One of them we're going to bring to market sooner than later, but I've been researching on and off for months and months. One of them that we're closer with it's 8 months in of researching, looking for manufacturers, negotiating. Like I'm getting really close and they're like, how about this? And I'm like, no, I don't want that product in there. And they're like, well, how about this? And I'm like, well, why is that in there? So it's endless. And I think people feel like, oh, you just grab a product and you go and you start selling it. Like that's not how it works. Not for us. We could have easily started selling a couple other supplements that I'm looking into now if we didn't care about quality, if we didn't care about the ingredients, if all we did was want to sell a product and make some money. But we want products that actually improve our customers' health. Like we use our products ourselves, our family and friends use them, and then customers use them. So why would we produce a product that's going to be detrimental to your health? And many supplements are. So it takes endless effort and time. I have different browsers I use. So my Safari browser has 10 different windows open of all the research I'm doing for one product. And then I use Brave browser for my day-to-day because I can't have them all open all at the same time, like staring at me. So, Dorothy says doo-doo. Dorothy teaches grade 1, and many times I feel like I live with a grade 1 student. Dude, get it, doo-doo. Anytime I say doo-doo, she says doo-doo. So that's when it comes to supplements. Like you have to understand, like most supplements aren't out to improve your health. Most manufacturers make supplements to make money. That's it. So you have to sift through and you have to find the better quality ones. Dave says, how do you feel about olive oil? Avocado oil is my second favorite oil for sure. I would look at coconut oil. We'll talk about the different strands real quick. And then I would go to avocado oil next. So coconut oil, avocado oil, and then I would go to olive oil. Only because because of the industry, and you have to be very careful of which ones you choose. And I think people just grab an olive oil and like, oh. I feel like in most cases, people grab any kind of oil. I see those big, huge containers of like these vegetable oils and those jugs of plastic containers, and I'm like, what are you doing? No, don't cook in that. Jen says, I've always wondered if there's a big difference between olive oils when they use the word extra. Yeah, there's a big difference. But it's so difficult because of the regulations in what they can say. Like if you say natural flavors, that could be 25 different ingredients of, in most cases, that's an MSG of natural flavors on a product. But you could also have a clean product that's natural flavor. So I actually call manufacturers and I say, well, what's the natural flavor? I was looking at a protein company, and I called a manufacturer and they sent me the ingredients, they sent me samples, and I was like, well, I was asking exactly like, what is every ingredient? I was like, well, what's the natural flavor? And the sales guy had no idea. He's like, what do you mean, what's the natural flavor? It's the natural flavors of the food. And I was like, well, then it wouldn't say there'd be added. Then they on the label it wouldn't say they added natural flavors. It would say nothing. And I was trying to explain this to him, and he had no idea. He's just a sales guy. And I was like, ask whoever's making your product what the natural flavors are. So he went and I don't know where they got their product from. He went and asked them, and they said, oh, we don't, for proprietary purposes, we don't disclose all of our ingredients. And I was like, what are you talking about? You have to disclose all of your ingredients. I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. You can't hide ingredients. It's so needless to say, we went with a different manufacturer. Oh my god, that's literally what they said. It's like, we're not telling you all of our ingredients, and I'm like, okay, and we're not gonna order product from you. But without question, Jen, there is a difference. The problem is that one could say that it's extra virgin olive oil, and one could say, but you could look at, so if you get, I really like the non-GMO label. I'm not a huge fan of labeled organic because it costs a lot of money for the stamp that says organic, and you could have a local farmer that has organic products but can't afford to be deemed an organic farm. So I would look to local first and then organic when necessary, especially for certain things like the Dirty Dozen, for example, the most sprayed types of fruits and vegetables. Um, but but you could find other stamps of approval, like the non-GMO verified stamp. I would always look for that when possible when you're buying different foods, for example. Um, I don't know exactly the extra virgin olive oil and the olive oil. I'd imagine there's a different. I mean, I know there's a difference. I just don't know if there's another, like a third party governing body, if you will, that actually gives that stamp of approval. I think in most cases anyone could just label it, and I don't want to put down that industry. I love olive oil. We had a friend that got us this nice bowl of olive oil that came straight from um, Greece. Like, he uses it in his restaurant. Dylan, we talk about him often. Um, he has a restaurant called Castle, different Castle restaurants. Amazing food. He only used the cleanest ingredients. All of his food is his meats are organic. His all of his oils. He makes his own sauces from scratch by hand. Incredible chef. And he had someone that brought over some oil from Greece, and you could tell the difference. It was a beautiful green color. It was like almost creamy. When you dipped your finger in, it kind of stayed on your finger. It was beautiful. So there are really good olive oil companies. Really good olive oil companies. I don't want to put them down. I just think it's more difficult to find them. Sue says, can you post a list of oil on what you feel is the best? Yes, thanks, Dana. Dana answered that for us. So this is the way I would go. So that's how I would list it: coconut oil, avocado oil, and extra virgin olive oil. So, morning, Jennifer. Sometimes I've kind of we were doing a live in another group, and it was Tiffany who jumped on, and I was like, "Hey, Tiffany," and she was like, "You freaked me out there. I thought this was a recording." No, we're live right now. So when it comes to coconut oils are the best in my opinion. And so you have to, when you find research, you have to understand who is giving the research. Do you know what I mean? So if you have an olive oil company that's doing the research and doing their own studies, they're going to say that their product is better than grapeseed oil. If you have a grapeseed oil company and they're comparing the two, and they're looking for research on why their product is better than olive oil. So I watched this. It was really interesting. It was like a news clip of, I forget the name. I think it's a Canadian company, and they're talking about how, because coconut oil is a saturated fat, it's actually not a good fat. So they actually went to the grocery stores and were telling people this, and people had, "Oh, really? I had no idea." And because their research, understand that everyone, when they do research, you can find or justify just about anything through research. So I would always look at different angles, and it kind of freaked me out too. I watched this news clip of why coconut oil wasn't good for you, and I was like, "That's crazy." I've been doing research and using coconut oil for years and telling people to use it, so I kind of felt bad for a second. And I was like, "Wait a second, that's just one source, and we don't know who paid them, why they put their show together, who is advertising commercials." And then I did more research, and I was like, "Okay." and we can look at documented studies, we can look at medical research, we can look at published papers where it talks about how coconut oil is good for you and for different reasons. So I think it's very important to look at different sources, different angles, different resources, and come up with your own conclusion. Dorothy says coconut oil is my favorite, but there's different reasons people come out with different research, is I suppose is what I want to share with you. But when it comes to coconut oil, it's something that we believe in. It's something that we use on a regular basis. I'll tell you real quick. My aunt, she would, when we first started using coconut oil, she told me that she had an aunt that had this beautiful, like always had this beautiful hair, like it was always like beautiful and silky and soft. And she asked her like, what is she doing? And she said, well, she puts coconut oil in her hair every once in a while. And she said she always remembered that specific aunt because she always had this beautiful hair. And so she was using it years ago before everyone started using it. But when it comes to coconut oil specifically, there's different chains or different branches, if you will. And it's called, so when you break coconut oil down, it's called, they have C6, C8, C10, and C12. So there's 4 different ones. And I recently talked to a manufacturer that showed C14 in there, which I didn't even know if there was. So I'd have to do research around there. But I have been researching the 4 different strands of MCT oil. So the number means it has a shorter chain, so it will process quicker. So what happens is, when you put different substances into your body, it turns into ketones, and ketones create energy. So that's why the ketosis diet is going crazy right now, is because people are like, oh, I don't have to eat carbs, which is funny because a lot of people love carbs, and I can have healthy fats to turn into energy, but they hit ketones first and then turn into energy. So with the MCT oil, it processes differently. So I don't even think it hits your liver. So in most cases, you put food in your body and that has to be processed and broken down. And there's a time frame that happens. But when you put different oils in your body, like a high quality MCT oil, there is not a processing stage. So it gets turned into energy almost instantly. So if you look at coconut oil, and there's names for each of them, but C6 short term is the quickest way to turn into energy, but they don't really sell it because it doesn't taste very good, and it can cause, I think it's not as easy to digest, even though it turns really quickly. So C6 isn't something people sell very often. You could look at C8, which is probably the most known for health benefits because you can sell it with no flavor. So C6, C6 is the first one. C8, they often call it brain fuel. So that causes improvements in energy almost instantly, increases in energy. And then they've also have studies around brain function. So cognitive function, mental fog, being able to remember things on a more regular basis. So before I talked about dementias being one of the main type of pillars, if you will, that people worry about, like dementia and Alzheimer's. So C8 MCT oil that goes straight to your brain is something that if you have Alzheimer's in your family, you should be taking MCT oil C8, for example. Then they have C10, and C10 is a bit longer chain, so it acts more as a saturated fat. So the saturated fats, in most cases, we want to stay away from. However, our brain is made up of saturated fat. So people are, like, there was a bunch of studies coming out of people like, no saturated fat, stay away from saturated fat. But I would say that saturated fat is okay as long as you're looking at grass-fed animals. If you have any animals that are having that eat like corn, for example, which is a GMO and also a filler, they give corn to cows to fatten them up quicker. So if the cows or chickens or whatever it is you're eating is on corn, then you're ingesting what they're ingesting. So I would say grass-fed butter is okay for that reason, because saturated fats are okay. Um, and then you can look at, so many companies will come out with a C8, C10 MCT oil, and I feel like that's a cheaper version because they can still label it C8. So it's usually a 60-40 blend. Tell me if I'm getting too much in depth for you. Um, it's interesting to me. So they come out with a C8, C10 blend. And because when people know what they're looking for, if you know what you're looking for at MCT oil, you're usually looking for a C8 MCT oil. So if you're looking for a C8 and they do a blend of 60-40, so maybe it's 40% C8, 60% C10, people are going to see the C8 and like, oh, I'm going to grab that one. So I think it's could be a labeling issue because it's cheaper to produce the C8 and the C10. Dorothy says getting a little sciencey. Okay, I'll end this. I won't keep doing the sciencey thing. I'll just let me finish explaining. Um, so it's cheaper to produce. So C6 is the most expensive, then C8, then C10, then C12. So if they put some C10 in with C8, they can make the product cheaper. So I believe that's why they produce the combo of 60-40. So if you're looking for a good quality MCT oil, I would say C8 is the best, and you could find C10, which is okay as well. They don't really sell C12 on its own, I don't think. You get all of those oils in a conventional coconut oil. So you could look at a coconut oil at the grocery store or a coconut oil at the at Costco. Like, of course, anything that sells well, Costco starts selling. So and it's not always the best quality, rarely the best quality. So if you look at Costco or the grocery store and it's like a solid, for example, or it tastes like coconut oil, that's not a fractionated coconut oil. It's a different kind. No, they don't. Not coconut. Dana says, does coconut oil say which C they are? They should. And if they don't, then they're just then it has all of them in there. So if you go to the grocery store, or you go to Costco, or I don't know who else sells it, even health food stores, I suppose, and it's the solid coconut oil in cold. It has all the C's in there, seeded C6 to C12, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're just different levels. So when we talk about our different products, we say you can get a cheap product at the dollar store, or you can get a good quality product. And some people try to compare the two. Like for our protein, for example, all our protein is sprouted, it's organic, it's raw, or sorry, it's not raw. It's sprouted, it's fermented, and it's organic. A combination of all these different ones. So if someone goes to Costco and they get a huge bucket, we sell this for $31.99. So they get a huge bucket and it holds all kinds of horrible ingredients, and it has like cookies and cream, or it's like strawberry chocolate blend. It has all these horrible toxins in it. So and people look at our protein, they look at their protein, they're like, well, I can get twice as much as this one, so I'm going to buy this one, not knowing that they're completely different products. They do different things in our body. They're used for different purposes. So it's the same thing when it comes to coconut oil. If you're looking for the best quality, and if you're looking for brain function, like I said, cognitive function, fine motor skills, memory, you're looking for C8, and it should say C8 MCT oil on it. Otherwise, it's going to just say coconut oil. And if you want coconut oil to cook with or to bake with, that's perfectly fine. But we're starting to use more C8, and I'm going to use that for everything moving forward. So everything when it comes to cooking, I've been doing oil pulling with C8. That coconut oil is antibacterial, so that helps with your helps create clean gums and clean teeth and a bit of teeth whitening naturally. So oil pulling is something you can use it for. You can use it for salads. You can use it to cook with. It has a high smoke point. So there's a lot of different reasons. But if you're looking for a coconut oil, in my opinion, you would be looking at C8. And that's the difference when it comes to the different coconut oils. Otherwise, it's just the regular one, which is fine. It has all of them in there. But it has a different purpose. Understand that. We have comments on here. Um, I've been buying mine from Costco. It's okay though. Like if you go through a lot of coconut oil, um, maybe you're baking with it. It's okay. Like I don't like Costco. Costco's nice. Like it offers Costco, like it offers larger quantities for cheaper prices, but it bothers me a bit when people go to like the it doesn't bother me, but it's concerning when people go to like the supplements aisle and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this one because it's cheaper." And Costco wants the best prices possible for you, which in most cases means they're not going to offer you the best quality product. If you're any you look at that big blue store at the edge of town, most big box stores, like they want to give those companies like Amazon. I'm like Amazon's $1 billion company. My non-recommendation of them is not going to affect their bottom line. But you look at Amazon, in most cases, they're looking at the cheapest products, not the best quality products. And then you see that like little Amazon sponsored link or Amazon's choice. Well, people pay for that. You have to pay to be Amazon's choice. So they push you up and you get the most sales, and people think that just because it's purchased the most that it's the best for you, but it's not. It's crazy. But what I'm saying here is I suppose that not sure if there's anything specifically wrong with the coconut oil in um, with the coconut oil that they sell at Costco. It's just not your C8s that you're looking for different purposes. Jen says if it's cold pressed. You know what? We actually went to Sri Lanka. Jen, I think your husband is from Sri Lanka, isn't he? We went to Sri Lanka. I know this is crazy. I haven't even told Dorothy yet, but I would love to buy land in Sri Lanka. Not just land, but coconut trees. Dylan and I talked about this briefly, just messing around, but we always have new ideas. I would love to have like land in Sri Lanka with coconut trees on them and then produce our own coconut products. I think that would be amazing. I would love to do that. Jen says if it's cold pressed, unrefined, organic, is that how you can tell? Those are all much better choices for sure. Like I would 100% look for those. But if it's not, if it doesn't have those shorter chains like the C6, C8, it's probably not going to have the C6. I haven't found any with C6. If you're looking for C8 or C10, these are oils that are extracted from the coconut oil. So you have your regular coconut oil. They're actually extracting that out. It's almost like um, they're like extract. Those of you like Dana, you're Dorothy, Dana, Jen. Now you guys are into oils. They're actually so you could get like an orange, or they do it with flowers. Like there's health benefits to flowers, but if you extract the best parts of it out, it processes but much quicker. So these are if so you're looking at good quality. Like you're looking at something that's good quality. I don't think there's anything wrong with coconut oil, at least at this point in my studies. But if you want the best out of it, then you look for the C8, for example. You look for the C10. Um, so you could still get benefits out of the coconut oil. You don't always have to buy the C8, but I'm going to. Because like anything that is better quality, it's going to cost more. So it's going to cost more. So people that maybe can't afford a better quality one, you can still have a decent one. It's just not the best, and I always want the best. um, guess I'll start using. I guess I'll start using coconut oil for my hair and skin now. I used to use um, coconut coconut oil for lotion. I just didn't love it because it got me like a bit greasy. So sometimes I still do that, but I used to use that exclusively for lotion. Jen says, "Me too." Awesome. I should see you. We should see if we owned a coconut farm and processed our own coconut products. We could sell them to you guys, but we don't. Dana says I would never buy supplements from Costco, but they do have some good quality items. Yes, they do. They do for sure. I don't disagree with that. And Costco is a good. It offers the opportunity to buy bulk. I don't never go to Costco, and I don't never off order on Amazon. I just would prefer not to. I would rather go local, and I would rather go better quality. Jen says, yes, he is. We bring back coconut oil every year. We were talking about buying land there. Oh, that would be cool. Is land expensive there? Or is it all relevant? I know our dollar is better than. I would like to buy. So if you buy land, can I plant some coconuts on your land? What does Greta have to say? Greta says, I use a big jar of coconut oil from Costco to make soap. It's quite economical and works well. So there's another option for you. So, and then I don't know if you use that for yourself. I think you sold. We bought some from you, Greta. Um, so that offers another option. Like I'm not saying don't go to Costco. I just think it's better to support local and find better quality items. John says, so John is family's from Italy and he goes there often. Your wife's from Italy, isn't she? So I use olive oil for my dry working man hands. John, do you know anything about the oil industry, olive oil industry? I would love to go to Italy and or Greece and like visit these different places and I would like to like visit vineyards and like see how it's processed. Like I think you can go there and find some great olive oils without question. Jen says your husband used to be a farmer, or your husband's dad used to be a farmer in Sri Lanka. That's awesome. Um, what did I want to mention? I completely forgot what I was going to mention, but I wanted to mention palm oil. So palm oil is something Greta just brought up soap, for example. So palm oil is often found in soap. You actually have to read the ingredients. But when it comes to palm oil is actually a clean product. It's similar to coconut oil, and they don't yet, at least not yet, they don't mass produce it to be sold like a coconut oil, for example. But they use palm oils in many different types of products. So you can look at different food products, cosmetic products, like bars of soap. I really like bars of soap because there's less plastic. I'd rather a bar of soap in the shower than like a plastic container and use body wash, for example. But if you look at palm oil, I posted this in one of our groups, is that palm oil is to get the palm from the palm trees, they actually have to tear down the palm trees, especially I believe it comes from the palm fruit. And they sometimes the trees are way too high, they can't get the palm fruit, so they actually tear down trees. And this was actually really sad. I was doing this research and I pulled up this one article and there was an orangutan that was like kind of attacking a bulldozer. It was like trying to like hit the bulldozer because it was destroying its home. And like we're super environmentally conscious. We try to reduce plastic. We're animal lovers. So I avoid palm oil in everything. If it says palm oil, I put it down. See what happens when you go to the grocery store. We know that from our supplements on shelves. A company, so if a health food store may take our product. If they take our product, it has to sell. If it doesn't sell, they stop producing it. So, or they stop. If the product doesn't sell on the shelf, they stop ordering it. And us as a manufacturer, or as using an external manufacturer, if we're manufacturing a product that doesn't sell, we stop manufacturing it. So I don't want to support companies that use palm oil, hoping that more people will do the same, and that manufacturer will either have to stop producing their product altogether or use a better quality ingredient. So that's my hope, is that they'll stop ruining the rainforests and destroying homes of animals that did nothing wrong. And you know what's interesting is every time I talk about this stuff or I post about it, there's very few likes or comments. Like it's like people don't want to hear or talk about the environment and what different products are doing to economies. Like it's crazy. Like why don't we care? I have no idea. But it's something that we're passionate about. So I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with palm oil health wise, but would say there's a whole lot of things wrong with palm oil for environments and for animals and for destroying homes and for eliminating our rainforests, which is what we need. Let's see what John has to say. He's talking about. So if you see a product with palm oil, I would ask you to put it down, put it back on the shelf. So like you vote, like you're voting. So if you go to the grocery store and you buy Post cereal or Kellogg's cereal, you're voting. You say, I want more of this on the shelf. So when enough of those get removed from the shelf, the product manager orders more of that product, which causes the manufacturer to produce more of that product. So if you're ordering a cheap cereal brand, the grocery store manager needs to make money for the store. So he says we need to refill that because that product is making us money. So I'm asking you to stop to look at the ingredients on bars of soap, on different food products, and if it has palm oil, put it back on the shelf. You're not giving your vote. You're telling them, I don't want that product. If you change the ingredients, I'll buy it from you. John says oil trees grow everywhere. It's a common practice to gather the oils and press them. It's so pure and delicious. Count me in. I have a friend whose family is in the olive oil business. Maybe we can set up a tour. I would love that, 100%. We went to Sri Lanka with Dylan and his wife, and we had an amazing time. And Dylan's originally from Sri Lanka. So I know John, where's Pamela from? So John's wife is from Italy, and I would love to go with you guys, and you guys could show us around. We could press some olive oils. That's all I have for you. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been on here for quite some time, over an hour. We've been rocking. So some of you have been here from the very beginning. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. Understand that different oils, just real quick, let me summarize. Understand that all oils are not created equally. Stay away from oils that are in plastic containers and oils that are plastic see-through containers. Look for better quality. If you're looking for coconut oil and you want some added benefits, look for coconut oil, MCT oil, C8. Otherwise, I'd recommend cooking with coconut oil, even baking with it. Olive oil is really nice. You could also look at, I didn't really touch on the fats too much. So you can look at hemp seeds, like sprinkling hemp seeds on your salad is amazing. I sprinkle hemp seeds on my yogurt. I sprinkle hemp seeds on my salads. It's a great way to get healthy fats. So the healthy fats actually eat the bad fats. We're so afraid of fats, and for some reason, some experts say that protein gives you the energy that you're looking for. It's not protein. And we talk to anyone that's done any type of fitness competition or anyone that's depleted all carbs from their diet, and at least initially, or not carbs, fats from their diet, at least initially, and they'll tell you how drained they are mentally and physically. So we need fats to fuel us and to give us energy. You can look at like the keto diet, and there are proper reasons to do that diet as well, in my opinion. But some of these diets eliminate carbs, but note that they don't. I don't know if there's any diet that eliminates fats, because I don't know if we can function properly. We can't function properly for sure. I don't know if we can function at all without proper fats. So you need fats in your diet. So make sure you're getting proper amounts of fats from quality sources. So avocados is a great way to get fats into your body. And so is hemp seeds. Those are a couple of my top ones. But you can look at other nuts and seeds. That's a great way to get fats into your body, to energize you, to fuel you, even brain health. You could look at two different, is it walnuts? Two different walnuts, and it looks like a brain. And that's interesting because the walnuts are actually good for brain health. They have proper omegas that you're looking for. You're welcome. Jane says thank you. John says Deep South Calabria. That's pretty cool. I would love to visit. Greta says, thanks, very informative. You're welcome, Greta. I'm just wrapping things up here. So there are other ways. I talked a lot about oils when it comes to fats, but you can get nuts and seeds, for example. You can sprinkle those on. You can bring a handful of like homemade trail mix to get nuts into your body as well. So, or to get the healthy fats. You need healthy fats help with your joints. They actually oil your joints up a bit. So those of you that might have joint issues or joint pain, healthy fats. It's really difficult when you're looking at fish oils because you have to pay attention to the the mercury and the heavy metals that the fishies are consuming, especially the bigger fish and the fish that are living longer lives. They've been in the ocean longer. They've been collecting more hard metals. If you're consuming quite a bit of hard metals, like hard metals is in our water, it could be in our food, definitely in fish. I mean, water from the tap. You could look at activated charcoal. That's something that I've been taking every day for a while now, for a few weeks, just to experiment to see how it goes. Activated charcoal from coconuts helps detox those hard metals out of your body, and hard metals cause all kinds of health issues. And activated charcoal also helps with digestion, so that's something that may be of interest from those of you that have digestive issues. But so if you're getting fish oils, make sure that if you're buying fish oils, be careful because the bigger ones, the ones that come from bigger fish could be rancid, and they definitely carry heavy metals. So you want fish oil from like krill oil, maybe even sardine oil. Not like big into fish, but there's definitely a place for fish, especially when it comes to fats. So I would definitely recommend eating fish, especially because you can get the healthy fats from food instead of being extracted, or instead of having a pill or powder potion, or from that's produced, or that's produced in the manufacturer. Like, you eat the food first, like eat the hemp seeds. They're less produced, for example. And that's basically what I'm getting at. There's a bunch of you saying that you're out of here, but so I'm going to wrap things up again. Just make sure you're buying wild instead of farmed when it comes to fish. It's going to cost more, but it's going to be better for your health. And those healthy oils, those healthy fats are going to be much better for you as well. Thank you so much for jumping on here live with me. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions about this, let us know. If you have any questions after, let me know. And if you're watching the replay, I'll try to get to your questions too. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you all another time. Take care.